South Africa has seen criminal cases that captured national attention not just because of what happened, but because of how deeply they affected families, communities, and public trust in safety. We're covering 4 South African ruthless killers and their harsh sentences. We begin with a name that would soon be linked to an unthinkable act of violence, whose actions in a single moment would shatter an entire family and leave a community in disbelief. His name is Enoch Ndou. Enoch Ndou was a 52-year-old nurse. On the surface, he was seen as educated, employed, and responsible. Nothing that would hint at what was about to happen. A deep family dispute had been growing, one centered around inheritance, specifically a piece of land left behind by their late father. Different family members had conflicting claims, and on 25th December 2021, Christmas Day, the disagreement came to a boiling point. The issue of ownership, who truly had the right to the property, divided the family deeply. At some point after the argument, Enoch Ndou made a decision, one that would permanently change multiple lives. He retrieved a firearm gun. What followed was not a random act, it was deliberate and calculated. He began targeting his own relatives. 7 people lost their lives that day. Among them were adults and young children, including a pregnant woman. The attack shocked the entire country. This wasn't just violence. It was violence within a family, on a day meant for peace. By the time it was over, an entire family had been shattered. After the incident, something unexpected happened. Instead of fleeing permanently or trying to hide, Enoch Ndou went to the police station and turned himself in. He was arrested and charged with 7 counts of murder. Back in the village, grief quickly turned into shock, and then anger. Community members struggled to understand how someone could carry out such an act against his own family. Residents referred to him as the Christmas killer, reflecting the outrage and disbelief. The funerals of the 7 family members followed. Entire generations were wiped out in a single day. As the case moved to court, more details began to emerge. During the trial, his legal team attempted to challenge parts of the evidence, including a confession statement. There were also questions raised about his mental state. Ndou made unexpected gestures in the dock. When the court inquired, he gave incomprehensible responses. His legal counsel informed the court that Ndou had a history of annual admissions at a psychiatric ward. As a result, the court ordered a psychiatric assessment under Section 77 of the Criminal Procedure Act. Dramatic scenes unfolded at the High Court when mass murderer Enoch Ndou was found guilty on all charges. Ndou appeared to be in a trance, raising his hands and calling out to his gods. However, his antics did not sway Judge Thogomalani. The judge ruled that he was fully aware of his actions. The killings were intentional, and there was no justification. On March 14, 2025, the Thohoyandou High Court sitting at Waterval sentenced Enoch Ndou to life imprisonment. The life sentence ran concurrently with an additional 90 years imposed for the murders of the 6 other victims. The judge said the accused showed no remorse and never once tried to reach out to the family to apologize for his actions. The sentencing was not without drama. Ndou banged on the table and shouted, "Who is not an orphan?" while also criticizing the South African judiciary. On a day meant for love, celebration, and family unity, one decision turned Christmas into a nightmare and left a village mourning for years to come. Number 2, Jason Rohde. Jason Rohde had everything. He was the CEO of Lou Geffen Sotheby's International Realty, one of South Africa's most prestigious property companies, a multimillionaire, a husband and a father of 3 daughters. In 2015, Jason began an affair with Jolene Alterski, a real estate agent at his own company. He hid it perfectly. He lied to Susan. He led a double life for months. In early 2016, everything changed when she found a Valentine's card, one that wasn't meant for her. That was the moment she realized Jason Rohde was having an affair. She confronted him, and he admitted it. He promised to end things. The secrecy didn't stop, and the late messages continued, and Susan began to suspect the affair was never really over. In July 2016, his company Sotheby's held its annual company conference at the Spier Hotel, a luxury wine estate near Stellenbosch. Jason had to be there as CEO. On the night of July 23, 2016, The couple returned to their hotel room after spending time at the event. What happened next would become the center of one of South Africa's most disturbing courtroom battles. At some point during the night, an altercation took place inside that room. No one else was there, no witnesses, only the two of them, and by morning, only one was still alive. The next day, Susan Rohde was found dead in the bathroom. Jason claimed he had discovered her body and that she had taken her own life. He told others that he had tried to help her, but it was too late. Investigators began to question the details, the position of the body, the physical evidence in the room, and inconsistencies in Jason's account. What was initially presented as a tragic suicide quickly turned into a suspected murder. Forensic experts carefully examined the evidence. Their findings raised serious doubts about Jason's version of events. They concluded that Susan had not taken her own life. She had been manually strangled, and the scene had likely been staged to mislead investigators. The case quickly gained national attention. A successful businessman, a luxury wine estate, and a death that didn't add up. In 2018, the court delivered its decision. Jason Rohde was found guilty of murder. The judge rejected his version of events, stating that the evidence clearly pointed to intentional killing rather than suicide. It was a turning point in the case. A man once known for business success was now officially convicted of killing his wife. In 2019, the court handed down its sentence. Jason Rohde was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The judge described the crime as serious, deliberate, and followed by an attempt to mislead investigators. The case left a deep impact. For the family, it meant loss, grief, and a painful public trial. Susan Rohde, who had loved her husband for 23 years, fought to save her marriage and followed him into that hotel to keep her family together, never made it home. Number 3. Sandile Mantsoe. Sandile Mantsoe grew up in Mbalenhle, Secunda, in Mpumalanga. He was described as a smooth talker who was always neat and put together. By September 2016, he was dating a young woman called Karabo Mokoena. Mokoena was just 22 years old and was studying business and had earned her aviation license. The romance initially flourished, and Karabo was passionately in love with Sandile. However, they began encountering serious issues as he became physically abusive, causing them to break up on several occasions, though they always got back together. On April 28th, Mantsoe claimed he had come home from a business meeting and found that Karabo had committed suicide in his Sandton apartment. He did not specify how she had died. What happened next was calculated and disturbing. CCTV footage showed Mantsoe moving a dustbin into his apartment and later struggling to take it back out. He then transported the victim's body, obtained acid and petrol, and attempted to destroy evidence before burying the remains in a shallow grave. Mokoena's body was found in an open veld by a passerby in Lyndhurst, Johannesburg, on the 29th of April 2017, severely damaged by fire. After not hearing from her for days, Mokoena's family and friends went on a frantic search, circulating her pictures on social media, and Sandile Mantsoe played along cynically. He was cooperating publicly in the search for Karabo, while knowing exactly where her remains were. Mantsoe was arrested on the 10th of May 2017. The trial began in early 2018, and Mantsoe's version of events shifted dramatically. He wanted the court to believe that Karabo had injured herself and killed herself. Specifically, he claimed she had stabbed herself in the neck and that out of fear and panic that he would be blamed for her death, he had disposed of her body. The court saw through this. Acting Judge Pete Johnson noted that if Mokoena had indeed committed suicide, there would have been no reason for Mantsoe to hide it. There was nothing to be afraid of because everyone would see what he saw and get to the same conclusion that he did. On the 2nd of May 2018, Sandile Mantsoe was found guilty of murder, defeating the ends of justice, and assault with intent harm. The South Gauteng High Court sentenced him to more than 30 years imprisonment. The murder of Karabo Mokoena became a watershed moment in South Africa. Her brutal murder by her boyfriend sparked nationwide outrage, with women using the hashtag #MenAreTrash. Her family and friends co-founded the Karabo Mokoena Foundation, an anti-gender-based violence advocacy group, in her memory. Sandile Mantsoe remains in prison to this day, a man who presented himself to the world as a successful, God-fearing businessman, while hiding a darkness that ultimately destroyed an innocent life and his own. Number 4. Ntuthuko Shoba. Ntuthuko Shoba was born in 1989 in South Africa. He worked at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange as an IT analyst, educated, professionally established, and living a double life. He was engaged to one woman while secretly involved with 28-year-old beautician Tshegofatso Pule, who was warm, well-loved, and from Soweto. The two had terminated a pregnancy in 2019. When Pule fell pregnant a second time, Shoba made a cold, calculated decision. He would have her killed rather than let his fiancée find out. He turned to his childhood friend, Muzikayize Malafane. After initially offering 7,000 rand, which Malafane refused, Shoba raised the amount to 70,000 rand. Malafane accepted. Shoba arranged for Malafane to pose as an Uber driver to collect Pule from his Florida home. When she grew suspicious about the route, Malafane pulled over, forced her out of the car, and shot her. He then drove her body to Rudeport and hanged her from a tree to stage a suicide. Pule was 8 months pregnant. Her unborn daughter did not survive. Phone records showed Shoba had contacted Malafane 23 times that day using an unregistered SIM card. When Malafane discovered Shoba had handed police CCTV footage implicating him, he gave police the full truth. Malafane pleaded guilty and received 20 years in exchange for testifying against Shoba. Shoba pleaded not guilty, but on 25 March 2022, the Johannesburg High Court found him guilty of premeditated murder. Judge Stuart Wilson sentenced him to life in prison, finding no justifiable reason to deviate from the maximum sentence. His application for leave to appeal was denied. Shoba remains behind bars for life, a man who chose to destroy innocent lives simply to protect a secret. Press the like button, subscribe, and leave your comment below. Let's talk.